have to learn. That is the current issues and the interpretation part. Okay, so we know that if you are someone who have already wrote SBR paper, or if it's a reattempt, then you already know that the importance of this topic, current issues in our paper SBR. So compared to other settings, now one good chance we have right now from September, uh, the number of current issues have literally got reduced. And if you are looking at the latest textbook, you can see that there has been some updates in the syllabus. So if you're looking at the latest textbook, just let me show you. We have actually got a pretty less number of current issues. And the one which is mainly prevails is with respect to climate changes. Okay, so climate changes is something that have introduced from last September 2022, but still it is relevant for your exams. Okay, so especially we know that in the current accounting world, the accountants are facing a huge challenge in whichever industry they are working in, because impact of current issues is getting affected on every industries. Okay, so we need to address that scenario in such a manner that which all assets in our FS will get impacted because of this current climate changes. Okay, so even though it is not required as per the framework, or it is not required as per the standard, okay, we may feel it like a events after when it comes to events after reporting period, you may feel it like it's an event which is going to happen after the reporting period. So as per the standard, if you're looking at the rules, there is no requirement to disclose it. But if you're looking from the ethics perspective, or from the perspective of as a part of the professional body, we have to present a full presentation of every important elements to our users. So in order to give an additional information for the users, it is very important that we have to disclose about this current issues, that is especially on the base of climate changes. So what happens when there is a climate change? We know that, let's take an example. If you are working in an agricultural industry, we know that it is greatly getting impacted because of the climate changes. Okay, especially because of the water scarcity, and all these factors are directly affecting the agricultural industries. So how, as an accountant, we need to show these impacts in our FS? Fine. So in general, we can discuss some accounting standards which mainly gets affected because of the climate changes. Starting off with the basics one, that is IAS 16. So we know that in IAS 16, it is mainly focusing on plant, property, and equipments. And climate changes will affect the impairment of this PPE. Okay, or the plant, property, equipment's useful life may revise, or its resale value may revise because of the impact of the climate changes. Okay, because currently the going concern of the company is getting affected. We are having some critical issues with regards to the going concern of our company. So IAS 16 is getting impacted, and especially we have to change our assumptions with regards to the useful life as well as the resale value. That's the impact of climate change that can have on the standard IAS 16. Is that clear, everyone? So just note it down. The first standard that we have to address with respect to the changes in climate issues is IAS 16. Okay, then obviously IAS 36, impairment. So what do you mean by impairment? We feel like the whole industry is getting affected because of that particular changes in the climate. And obviously some of our assets will get obsolete. So we have to consider it as an impairment indicator. Okay, so obviously our operational cash flows will go down and our operating expense will rise up. So as a result, we have to consider this as an impairment indicator, and the company as a whole need to test for impairment reviews. Okay, so that is one thing we have to consider when it's with respect to IAS 36. So we have learned two standards now with respect to the impact of changes in climate. First one, it is IAS 16, and next one is IAS 36. Is that clear, everyone? So we just need to discuss it. Completely is a knowledge part, especially current issues will be tested in such a manner that we just need to explain what you have learned from the article. Okay, or you just need to aware about that issue. That's it. You don't need to apply it, or any kind of technical questions will not get tested from that area. It's completely a knowledge-based questions will come. So it's almost like a theory part. Okay, you just need to be aware about these issues. That's it. Is that clear, everyone? The impact of two standards, IAS 16 and IAS 36. Okay, so as of now, these are the 4 areas we have to focus on. First one, accounting for digital assets, accounting for the effects of natural disaster, then climate change, global event, and the going concern assessments, and development in the corporate reporting related to sustainability reporting and sustainability standards. So these are the 4 areas we have focusing today for your sections. And when it comes to accounting for, so we are discussing about climate issues, right? So we already covered PPE as well as IAS 36. That part is done. So next one will be impact with respect to financial instruments. Especially we know that when it comes to the bank or any kind of financial institutions will be provided loan to the agriculture farmers, okay, for their production or something like that. So what will happen as a result of this impact of the climate change? We know that the farmers will not be able to repay the loan. So from the perspective of that financial institutions, we can consider it as an impairment of financial assets. So it will come under which standard? Impairment of financial assets will come under IFRS 9. Okay, so the impact of this climate issues can be addressed along with this standard IFRS 9 if there is a technical difficulty in getting the money back from our borrower. Is that clear? Because there will be a higher chance of default rates from the customer side. Done. Next one, IAS 2. Other impact will be with respect to any natural disasters. We know that it will lead to any kind of inventory damages. So we have to address that part as well. So this inventory damages will affect the NRV of our inventory. So again, we have to address it with the standard IAS 2. So these are the first 4 standards we have to consider when it comes to the impact of climate changes. Ultimately, it will lead to impairment. So it will get reflected in the PPE standard, IAS 36, IFRS 9, and IAS 2. Is that clear, everyone? Then the next one, it is insurance part. So obviously, every company have taken insurance for their inventory as well as for the factory, right? For every assets, we used to take insurance. So why we are taking insurance? In case of any damage or any kind of threats that happens to this asset, we are, as a provision, we are just taken the insurance. So let's say there is a natural disaster. As a result, some of our factory got damaged. So obviously, as a customer, I will claim my insurance. So when I'm claiming my insurance, I will be getting the money back. So it's kind of a insurance which is receivable. But can I show that receivable directly in my FS? Can I show this insurance receivables directly in my FS as an asset? No. Why? Because it's kind of a contingent asset, right? Because if that condition satisfies, then only we will be able to get the money back. So as per IAS 37, that is provision, contingent liabilities, and contingent asset, it only allows recognition of asset from an insurance claim if the receipt is virtually certain. So virtually certain means if you are having an assurance from the insurance company that we'll get the money back or we will pay you this much money back. So we should get this notice from the side of insurance. So apart from that, on the time of just applying for that receipt or at the time of applying for the recovery or the refund, we cannot recognize it as an asset. If you have applied for it, just as an application, again, it is under the control of our insurance company. They need to check the whole details. Then they will reply back with an email or any kind of receipt that, okay, this much money will be refunded to you. Only at that point, we can recognize it as an asset. So that issue will get addressed under IAS 37 itself. Is that clear, everyone?
Sir, at that point, we need to treat it as a contingent asset or PP.
See, if you have just applied for it, okay, if you have just applied for it, then it's like a contingent asset. But on the other hand, if you get a reply email or it is completely assured that, okay, you will get this much money back for your claim, right? So if you applied for a 2 lakh claim, obviously you will get something around 1.5 or 1.8 as a claim, right? They will check the whole details and what's the cause of that damage. Everything will get tested by the company. So they will say that, okay, this is not covered under our policy. So there will be some negotiations. At the end, what's the final amount you are actually about to receive? If you are particularly certain about that amount, then we can consider it as an asset. Okay. But if you are just applied for that refund, you will not get it. You have to consider it as a contingent asset because it is probable that you will get the money, but we are not completely sure about it. Such scenarios will get tested under IAS 37 because it's a part of natural disaster that obviously some insurance claim will be done from any company's side. Irrespective of whichever industry it is, obviously they will claim for some insurance. Right? Now, there's some additional liabilities. What comes to additional liabilities? Because of this disaster, we may need to shut down certain part of our process. In that scenario, it directly leads to any kind of a restructuring cost. Okay, we may reach in a situation where we have to shut down certain operations, or to save certain employees, we have to make some employees redundant. So directly it is going to get applied in IAS 37, that is under the restructuring provision. Okay, because we have an obligation to pay that redundancy amount and all these factors. So again, such scenarios will get tested under IAS 37 itself. So we have to measure the provision, whatever the cost directly with respect to restructuring, such as employment redundancies, that should be included in that restructuring provision. But whatever the criteria, as we have learned in IAS 37, that is, there should be a proper detailed plan with respect to restructuring, and it should be communicated to everyone affected by that decision. So these are the two conditions which is specified in the standard. So that needs to be tested. Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then the next one will be with respect to IAS 12, that is deferred tax. We know that we used to recognize deferred tax asset as per IAS 12. How? If we are probable that in future we will get some taxable profit to set off against the losses. But in case of a natural disaster, obviously it will affect the going concern of the company. So we may have certain doubts regarding to the future earning capacity of our business. Earning capacity, or we may have certain concerns about the ability to make profit from the perspective of this company, because it is going just the natural disaster have came in and we have faced some difficulty in to recover from it. So it is not that much possible. There is less possibility of getting the profit immediately. Okay. In such scenarios, we need to reassess the deferred tax asset that we have recognized. Okay, we need to change the estimate of those deferred tax assets that we have recognized in the past. So that's another issue we need to address when there is a natural disaster. And obviously, the last and final one, that is with respect to the going concern issues. We know that when a company is getting affected by these natural disasters, there's a huge concern with regards to their going concern ability. And if you feel like the company have certain going concern issues, we need to address it initially through the disclosure notes. And if we are completely sure about the fact that the company cannot move on, then we have to prepare the efforts according to breakup basis. Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this same thing applies for any other global events or any going concern assessments. Okay. So there is no single IFRS standard is currently issued to address these issues. As we have seen here, it will get addressed under a wide range of standards as we have discussed just right now. So whenever it's like a pandemic or any kind of climate changes issues, obviously we have to address this much standards. So what are they? Impairment, insurance, additional liabilities that will come under IAS 37, deferred tax asset, and going concern issues. So just note it down. So because these are some of the recent accounting standards, which is current accounting issues, which is currently there in the syllabus, in the latest update. Done. Now accounting for digital asset, mainly focus on which one? Cryptocurrencies. So we have already learned in our previous classes how to account for cryptocurrencies. So when it comes to cryptocurrencies, we know that cryptocurrency is not like a normal asset. We cannot consider it as a cash, because if we need to consider it as a cash, obviously it should have a definite value. But obviously we know that cryptocurrency does not have a definite value. So how will you account for it? Can you consider it as an investment under IFRS 9? No, because there is no contract between two parties, or none of the parties have any certain kind of obligation to make a certain amount of returns, right? So it doesn't come under the cash IAS 7 standard. It does not come under the financial instrument standard. So what's the possibility? We should account it as an intangible asset. So from we are writing the answer, we need to explain the reason why we are including it as a part of intangible asset. So like intangible asset, it does have a identifiable value. Obviously, it is non-monetary because the asset does not have a definite value there. Then does not have a physical existence as well. So since these three criteria are met, we can consider it as an intangible asset. So it will get held under IAS 38. Is that clear, everyone? So when it comes to accounting for digital assets, mainly focus on the intangible assets. So conceptually, when there is a fair value movement, we should record it under P&L conceptually. But that's a difficulty we have. When we are following IAS 38 standard, we don't have the option to show the fair value movements in P&L. Because in IAS 38, we have got only two models, that is cost and revaluation model. But when the conceptual framework perspective, we know that it's an investment which is held for short term. So any fair value movements can be shown as a part of P&L. Is that clear? So that's what is explained in the last paragraph of this scenario. In the textbook itself, it's mentioned. So even this follows IAS 38, many entities invest crypto to benefit from the short-term changes in fair value gains or losses on short-term investment. So it is normally getting recorded in P&L. So the accounting statement is not completely as IAS 38. From the perspective of conceptual framework, it's better to follow it under the P&L itself. Fine. Now, next one it is initial coin offering. Initial coin offering is almost like a crowdfunding. So it's like we are raising the fund from the customers. So when it comes to initial coin offering, how will you account for it? It depends upon the terms of that fund. Let's say if you are giving the fund to a company and you only need a share of profit. Okay, you only need a share of profit. So how will you account for it? You guys have taken the coins from me and given me a certain amount of fund. You told that you don't need a fixed return, you just need a share of profit. So how will I account it? From the conceptual framework perspective, how will I account it? If you are just asking for the share of profit. Yes, we will account it as equity. On the other hand, if you are asking for a fixed return, how will I account for it? If you guys are asking for a fixed return, how will I account it as a debt? Yes. That's how we are accounting for this initial coin offering or any sort of crowdfunding. So financial liability will be erased if the reporting entities might be having an obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset to the holder of these tokens. So when we are issuing these tokens through initial coin offering, if it is mentioned in the question that we have to give them a fixed return, then we should account it as a financial liability. And if on the other hand, there is no contractual obligation to deliver the cash, they just need the payments out of our profit or the distributable reserves, then as we have already discussed, we'll account it as the equity. Then if the recipient was a customer, okay, and we have taken some fund from the customer as an advance or something like that, then we should account it as a part of the standard IFRS 15 revenue. Is that clear? If none of them erases there, then we should consider it as under IAS 37. We should recognize a provision under IAS 37. And if the entity does not specifically able to identify a standard with respect to issuing this token, then we'll just account it as per the conceptual framework. Okay. Fine. So when it comes to the digital assets, we have mainly considering two areas, one with respect to cryptocurrency, and the with respect to initial coin offering or crowdfunding side of funds. So for crypto, as I've already discussed, we have to account it under IAS 38. So why we are following IAS 38? Because it does not have a definite value as cash. Otherwise, we would have accounted it similar to a cash, the normal money. But we cannot follow that standard. The next option is like an investment. No, I cannot show it's like a financial asset because there is no contract between two parties or no one is obliged to pay any money there, right? So as a result, we can follow IAS 38 because crypto have a definite value. It is identifiable and non-monetary asset. Okay, so we can purchase crypto separately, so it is identifiable. We can purchase it from different trading platforms like Wasirex, right? So when I'm purchasing that, it is identifiable, but the value keeps on changing. So it is non-monetary asset and it does not have a physical existence. So it comes under the standard IAS 38. Fine. So that was with respect to the accounting treatment of crypto. Next one with respect to ISCO or initial coin offering. So that's a new method of trading or raising fund from the crowd through internet itself or via internet. We might have already learned about it in FRFM papers as well. So the question is, we can raise the fund. How will you account it? That's a concern of an accountant. So accountant have got different options. Either he can account it as a liability or equity or revenue. If none of the above meets those criteria, then keep it under IAS 37. We should create a provision there. Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone? The accounting for digital assets. But for sure, these areas will get tested in your exam. But with such a manner that it's like a theory question only. We just need to discuss what we have learned from your textbook. Perfect. So now when it comes to natural disasters part, we have already covered it. So this is the current issues we have right now in our latest syllabus. So what are they? The effects of disaster, climate changes, and the last one with respect to sustainability reporting. So what's the importance of sustainability reporting? We know that nowadays we have faced a huge challenge on the environmental issues and all these environmental issues that we are currently faced because of the industrializations, right? So whenever it comes to any company, let it be any sort of companies, especially those companies in the manufacturing field or in the automobile industry, they used to prepare a sustainability report. Okay, so why they are preparing a sustainability report? What's the importance of the sustainability reports? What's the importance of sustainability reports, guys? Because it explains to the users that how well we are addressing the issues with respect to environment or what all things we have done from our side to safeguard the environmental issues. Okay, so normally I used to show the sustainability reports of this company. It's Mitsubishi, and if you're looking at their sustainability report here, they will discuss it in detail. Okay, so this is the sustainability report of 2022 of Mitsubishi company itself. So here they are completely mentioning about what are the things they have done with respect to their sustainability reports. So I'm just going, I will just make you go through that report now. Or if you can see that. Okay. So sustainability reports mainly focus on how will you address these environmental issues or what are things that we have done to sustain with the environment. And there's another report as well, integrated report. So what is integrated report? It's kind of a mix, like both financial and non-financial impact will be discussed in the integrated report. So these are kind of reports that give some sort of additional information to the investors to get a better picture about the future of our company that we are invested. Is it clear, everyone? So are you getting an idea like what all will be included in a sustainability report and how it will help a company to improve its performance? So basically, it's to give an extra information to the users to get a picture like how well we are addressing the issues with respect to the environment. Yes, the reason why I always show this company is because it's an automobile industry and we know the how much and harm it can create to the environment, even as a product or even at the time of production. Okay, so here they have mentioned if you are just looking at the content, so they will explain their environmental plan package, how they are going to manage these issues and respond to this climate change and energy issues, and how they are reusing their assets, how they are going to prevent the pollution, the conservation of water resources, and the preservation of biodiversity. So in such a manner that they will explain everything within detail, like a report itself, like a normal annual report itself, to the users to get a better picture on the same. So done. Now, sustainability and integrated reports are two separate reports. Sustainability mainly focus on the environmental part, how we are going to sustain with the environment. See, if you're looking at their target, so the ratio of electrified vehicles sold, that's a way of reducing the pollution, right? So it reduced. So they are improving their percentage of sales, right? And CO2 emission from the new vehicles, the target is minus 14%. That's a target in 2030. So now they are reached till minus 14% comparing to the previous years. Then CO2 emissions from business activity. So like that, they will give a better picture about what all plans they have done, to achieve their like address those issues with respect to that environment. Is that clear, guys? Okay. So anyway, I'll just share this in our group. You guys just go through it. Then you will get a better picture on the same. Okay, so you should like sustainability is something that is very relevant because you can get some theory type of questions, especially in question number 4 with respect to sustainability. So current issues along with sustainability report will be a hot topic for your question number 4 exams, and especially they are highly focusing on the current issues and the latest developments in question number 4. So first question will be group, second question will be ethics, third one will be specifically focusing on the standard, and the fourth one will be based on current issues and the latest updates or developments happening in the current world. Is that clear, everyone?
Can you repeat it again, sir?
Then the question number 4, we have to focus these two areas, that is current issues and the latest developments, especially on sustainability reports. And question number 1 will be group. Question number 2, it is based on ethics. And question number 3 will be basically on any specific standards. So for that, you can especially focus on IAS 38, IFRS 15. That sort of standards normally get tested there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any doubts in these two areas that we have discussed just right now? Okay, so we'll go through some similar questions that's tested on sustainability reports. So can you see the question here? So question from March, June 2021 sample paper. And here you can see that how they are testing the current issues effect. So discuss why sustainability has become important aspect of the investor analysis of the company. There is no requirement to refer to any exhibit when answering part A. So this kind of direct questions will get tested from the sustainability part. So that's the reason I told that it's really easy to get that 6 marks. So 6 to 10 marks will be from this kind of area. It will be really easy for you to score those marks because you don't need to refer any part of your questions. It's completely a direct question. Is that clear, everyone? You understood how they are going to test these areas in the exam? Fine. See, another question from March 2020 exam. So here is again like a statement. So there's a global trend towards more extensive and more meaningful narrative reporting. The improvements in the quality and scope of this reporting are driven by regulatory demands as well as market demands for transparency. Many investors now adhere to sustainability investing, and because every investors make sure that the company they are investing is having some sort of concerns to the environment, and they have done something to protect the environment as well, because investors are also so much concerned about the same. So as a result, discuss why the disclosure of sustainability information has become important and influential consideration for investors. How much it is? The question is for 8 marks. So like that, you will get some direct questions from this area. So understand the importance of that particular area, even though it's a very small one, you just need to learn it like a theory. But when it comes to the exam side, obviously you will get something around 8 to 10 marks or 6 to 10 marks from that section. Is it done, everyone? So it's very important to learn the accounting standard. At the same time, you need to score the easy marks as well. So we may have covered the current issues in a half an hour time, but the exam, it's really easy for you. You can get some easy marks as well. Okay, so even if you miss out learning some accounting standard, don't miss out learning these current issues as well as the latest developments with respect to sustainability reports. Is that done? Yeah, technical articles, you can just read it. Like I'll just say that just focus on section E. Okay, if you're looking at the technical article part, focus on section E. That is, interpret the financial statements for different stakeholders. You can focus on this part. Okay, that will be helpful if you are just focusing on that area. Interpret the financial statements for different stakeholders. Obviously, they used to test that article a lot because that covers these areas itself: sustainability reporting, APM, okay, integrated report and standards. Everything will be covered from that section itself. Clear? So it will be great you can cover up that area from interpretation. Basically, it's an interpretation part. Is it clear, this one? Fine. Measure. The performance measure means normally used to measure the performance of the company using our financial ratios such as ROCE or ROE, or such profitability ratios will be used to assess the performance of the company. But we know that this items or this profit can be manipulated. So what are the additional performance measures that we can use to show the improvement of our company and how well the company have performed in their operation? In such scenarios, we will be using the terms like EBITDA, like earnings before depreciation, tax, as well as amortization, EBITDA. Okay, So that's a kind of measure we can use additionally to express EBI TDA. That's normally nowadays, even when it comes to an acquisition also, they never ask us how much is your profit. So obviously they will ask for as a general question, they will ask for it. But nowadays, whenever there is an acquisition happens, they normally used to ask for EBI TDA. So why it is important to explain about EBI TDA? Because depreciation, amortization, or impairment, or such kind of expenses are non-cash expenses, or literally we can manipulate those figures. So when we are showing the changes or growth in EBI TDA compared to the growth in operating profit, that will give a better picture for the users that how well the company is performing in their core operations. Because other things that we can adjust in the P&L because of using certain assessment or our subjective assessments, in a way we can manipulate our efforts. So that's the reason we are using some additional measures like this, or the free cash flow, or net debt to ratio, rather than using the debt to equity ratio, we'll consider net debt to ratio. So certain additional ratios will be calculated apart from those ratios that we have learned in FR. Now, I is for impairment. It's not for interest. It's not for impairment. It is for interest. So how APMs are tested? Normally, how APMs are tested is like they will give an accounting scenario. They will give some 2 or 3 accounting issues. So they will ask us to explain the impact of these account ratios or accounting issues of these ratios, such as EPS or EBITDA. We need to explain how this particular scenario will impact these ratios. For example, lease. How lease will impact EBI TDA? Because we know that when we recognize lease, there is a lease liability. So will that impact the interest? Yes, it increases your interest expense. In the same way, when you recognize right to use, there is a depreciation, isn't it? So like that, we need to explain the impact of a particular accounting scenario on these figures. Okay, I'll just give you an example of a question from APM. Wait. Can you see the example? So here they have given a specific example on how this additional performance measures will help the users to have a better picture about the company. So they are not comparing the underlying profit. So we'll consider the underlying profit before tax. So we'll remove the provision amount, everything will be removed to get the actual profit. So that will be a more meaningful figure. Is it clear? Done. Then apart from APM, what was the other question? Integrated report. So integrated report is basically a mix. Mix in the sense we will include both financial and non-financial factors here. So financial means, as we have seen, we are mainly focusing on the profitability and all this factor. But non-financial, we will focus on some other factors like how well we are using our resources, or how well we are using our employment skills or employee skills, the human resources. and how well we are taking care of our environment. So rather than talking about some financial factors, we'll mention about the non-financial factors as well. So that's what I mean by an integrated reporting. So almost like sustainability only focus on the environment part. Integrated is like a mix of both financial and non-financial reports. Is it clear? So we'll see an example of the same. So almost like a conceptual framework, there's a framework itself and there's a council for this integrated reports. So these are the main areas that they will cover. So it will get we will get an overview about the organization and their external environment under which it operates, its governing structure, its business model, and we'll mention about the risk and opportunities and how they are dealing with them. Okay, it's not just like a normal FS, and their strategies and their resource allocation and how well they have achieved those strategic objectives. Okay, so you will get a complete picture about the company rather than like a normal annual reports. So you can just, if you can just note it down. Okay, it's already there in that section E, as I've already asked you to read it from the technical article. So sometimes it may be asked, so what all needs to be included in an integrated report? So these are the main contents to be there. Key components of an integrated reports. So just note it down. But I think you have already seen that report of Mitsubishi there of sustainability report. There it was completely focusing on environmental part. Here it's like a complete picture about the company, both financial and non-financial. Is it done? Perfect. So any other doubts specifically on the accounting standards? Have you got any other doubts specifically on the accounting standards? This one of law. IAS 27. So IAS 27 is mainly explains about how the investment should be treated in the separate financial statements. Let's say if you have a associate or if you have a subsidiary or a joint venture, how it needs to be accounted in the separate financial statements. That's what mean by the standard IAS 27, or that is mainly focused in the standard IAS 27. So how can you account it? Investment in other entity in your separate financial statements. You can mention it either at cost or using the fair value model, either through FETPL or OCI. Then we can use equity method. So these are the three different options that is available in IAS 27 to account for the investment in other entities in their separate financial statements. So that's what mainly focus in the standard IAS 27. Is that clear? Embedded derivative is not in the syllabus currently. It's not there in the syllabus. In the latest kit, it's not there. Okay, if you have come across such, yeah, actually it's like a mix. Embedded and executory contract means it is not that executed. Okay, let's say I've ended an agreement with AFLA to purchase a machine, but none of us have completed our obligations. Neither I have given you the payment or you have transferred this asset to me. right? Such contracts are known as executory contract. So ultimately, the delivery of the asset will happen. So when that delivery of the asset happens from AFLA, I will record it's like an asset acquisition. Till then, it will be like an executory contract. So none of the entries will be passed either in your accounts or in mine. Okay. Embedded derivative part is not there. So one-rest contract, it's important. Yeah, obviously it's important because you have to judge it. So whenever you have come across any situations in which you have to complete a contract out of our obligation, but we know that the cost of completing that contract will be higher than the benefits. In such scenarios, we have to account it's like an one-rest contract. So how will you account for the one-rest contract? We'll check how much is the loss you are going to incur if you complete that contract out of the obligation. Or other hand, we can pay a penalty. If you are not interested to complete the contract, you have to pay a penalty, right? So whichever is lower, on that amount, you will create a provision there. Either the loss or penalty, whichever amount is lower of penalty or loss will create a provision. Clear? That's how we'll deal with one-rest contract. It's not a big deal, no? CC. Paris. So how will you judge? So when it comes to derivative part, see cash flow hedge or fair value hedge. For example, if I have purchased something right now, let's say I have purchased certain inventories, okay, and I feel like the value of the inventories will fall in future. So I need to hedge against the fall in value of this inventory. If that's the scenario, then it's a fair value hedge because I am going to hedge the fair value of that asset. I'm going to hedge against fall in fair value of that asset. Such hedging instruments are known as, or such hedging scenarios will be referred to as fair value hedge. Is that clear? So you just need to have a very basic idea about these things. Okay. So derivative is not that much important from the perspective of your exam. So since you asked that question, I'm just replying to that. Faris, you understood how to identify a fair value hedge? Okay. Now, when it comes to cash flow hedge means, see, I have to purchase a machinery, but from a foreign country. So I have certain concern. Either the price of the machine will go up, right? Or the exchange rate movements will differ. So if anything happens like that, there will be a higher amount of cash flow will be going from my hand. So I will be literally facing some loss in cash flow terms. So I need to hedge against that part. I need to hedge against that cash outflow, which happens from my end. So such losses will be hedged, right? Through some hedging instruments. And to account for it, we will follow the cash flow hedge. Such hedging scenarios are known as cash flow hedge. So in cash flow hedge, we may feel like the asset is not there in our books. We are going to purchase it or sell it in future. So we are going to incur a loss in future in cash flow terms. So I need to hedge it. So such scenarios are known as cash flow hedge. Is that clear, Faris? Yeah. In such scenarios, we can follow the fair value hedge itself. But again, it's not of a huge concern. So in the remaining days, I will say that if you have comfortably learned every standards, better to revise all the past papers. So when you revise past papers in groups or section B like that in the kit from the latest kit, very properly planned and complete those previous year's questions starting from 2018 September. Then you will get a complete picture, like yourself can itself assess which accounting standard they have highly tested, which areas we have to normally focus on this area. So you will get a proper picture from that part. So revise only those standards or specific areas which tested in past papers in the remaining days. So that will be of a great use rather than covering the whole thing. Start doing the questions because anyway you'll have a picture about a particular standard, no? So start reading the questions and try to figure out your own conclusion. Even if it's wrong, it's fine, because anyway, when it comes to exam, you'll get a completely new question there. None of the questions from the kit or past papers is going to get repeated. Yeah, if there is time, better you just write, my dear. But I don't think that there is sufficient time for you to write every answers right now. But at least try to just write it to understand how much time you are consuming for that. And before 2 or 3 days, try to complete a mock to understand about your time management skills. So depends. So we know that for 1 mark, hardly you should spend 1.8 minutes. So let's say if it's a group question, 30-mark question, hardly you will get 1.8. So something around 36, 54 minutes. That's a max. The same way for another question from ethics, it will be for 20 marks. So you have to spend around 36 minutes. So that's a normal time limit we have. But first few seconds, you should spend for mapping your answers. So I know that there is a difficulty when you're writing the answers. So what do you have to do? First of all, you have to point out the important areas that you have to emphasize in the answer. So like a point. So I need to mention about IFRS 16 definition. Then I need to mention about IFRS 16 reassessment of lease liability. Okay, or what went wrong there and how it impacted P&L or your FS. And what's your conclusion? So whenever you get a question, no, just mention the main points that you have to draft. Then even if you miss out something, you can just cross check it at the end when you're writing an answer. That's a very important manner, because in a question, we know that we have multiple requirements. So once you read the requirement and cross check with the exhibit we have, then list it down. Even in your scrap paper, just list it down. Okay, these are the main points I have to address in this scenario. So I will get the marks according to this areas. So for mentioning the definition, I will get 1 or 2 marks. For mentioning what is went wrong there, I will get 1.5 marks. Then how it impacted FS, I will get another marks. For in conclusion, I will get the rewards. So you will get a proper picture like how that marks will get allocated within the exam time itself. Then draft your answers accordingly. Otherwise, you will not feel like whether the question is complete or do you have to write some more points, right? So that confusions will be avoided if you get a proper picture from the starting itself. Just mention the main points that you need to cover, then draft it accordingly to your answers requirement. So in the coming days, if you don't have much time, at least mention these points and check in the answer, are they addressing the same points there? So if you write the definition in our own words, you will get the marks, but the key word should be there. Keyword should be there. Okay. So when you are reading the textbook, you know that they will highlight certain words within the definition itself, right? So you have to mention those keywords. You cannot change it because the meaning will change. So it's better to use the definitions as such. Okay. Anything else? So all of you are done with every other standards. There is no doubts as such. Yeah, today itself we'll upload the videos. Okay, so I was waiting to complete the whole sections. So today itself we'll upload the videos in YouTube. So you can access it through the YouTube channel of Elance. And those who are already the students, either in my online or offline batches, you guys can access through it, the app itself. It's already uploaded. For others, you can get it through the YouTube channel. Done? Okay, guys. So even for my own students, we are conducting a mock on Sunday. So I will just share that question paper in the marathon group itself. So everyone try to follow the same timing, and I will give the answers as well. So you can just mark it yourself. Okay, so just prepare for the mock in the coming Sunday. So within the next 2 days, make sure that you complete all your practices, question practice, whichever is left, any areas which is left, just try to complete it. Okay, don't wait for the last few days. Just try to complete everything in the next 2 days. That's the reason I have kept a final revision today. So I cannot see any further doubts. All of you are clear with the standards. I feel like so. So if that's a scenario, I'm so happy about that. Okay, now practice some questions and make sure that focus on these two areas, current issues and the interpretation. Group and ethics will be fine because group is normally much predictable. Okay, if you do at least 2 or 3 questions, you will get to know that okay, what's going to get tested there. So it will be more comfortable if you get a easy questions in the starting itself, right? So it's better to start with group. Okay, guys. So take care. If you come across any other doubts, please let me know in the WhatsApp.
Excuse me, sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't attend the previous practice marathon because I just couldn't attend due to some reasons. But I just attended the session. So just can I get some notes or any important things you have done over the last few sessions?
I will share the notes. I will share the notes in the section marathon group. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So when it comes to the consultation question part, only in the presentation there is a change. Okay. So whenever you are asked, let's say previously you used to ask to calculate goodwill. So after calculating goodwill, you just need to paste that goodwill amount in the pre-populated FS, which is given there. Okay. So they have drafted the Excel for you. In the Excel, everything will be there, excluding the errors or that omitted figures needs to be refilled. So that's the only change. Okay, so why they have done that? Because you need to get a picture like where these items that you have calculated will get impacted in the FS. Is it in SOFP or is it in the SOPL? So previously in SBI, they never used to test that. They just need to calculate goodwill or proper final profit or disposal on subsidiary. So they never used to post it in the FS like we have done in FR. So that's the reason they have come up with this new change of a pre-populated Excel. So you can just refill it there itself. Is there any omitted figure or any errors in the FS? You just need to correct it. That's it. Is that okay, computer G? Okay. So these are certain questions that you can just practice, okay, to get a better picture about every area. So just take a screenshot of it. Okay. So that covers both groups, ethics, everything will be covered there. So those who have less time to practice the questions, make sure that at least you practice this many questions. These are completely on the past papers. But again, to get an overall picture, I think that will be great. Okay. Thank you, guys. So the videos will be uploaded, and let me know any further doubts are there. Okay. Is it done? Have you taken the screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, bye. Take care.